Hey, good morning, everyone. Hey, good morning. Good morning. I am very happy and privileged to introduce to you Dr. Eric Peebles. Eric is the current executive director of the, and I'm going to probably say it backwards, the Mobile Independent Living Center, or the Independent Living Center of Mobile. What's your official name? Independent Living Center of Mobile. Okay, the ILC for Mobile. And you assumed the position, what, maybe about a year ago? Not even. Yeah. Okay. So you're relatively brand new to the position of executive director, and it is a center that is undergoing, I think it's fair to say, a very big transformation. I think, and I'm going to let you share about that, but I think Eric has the vision to create, I think he would describe it as an independent living center without walls. And we have spoken a lot this morning about breaking down walls, breaking down silos, infusing disability throughout.
Check two, check 1, 2. Yeah, we're good. Cut it down so we get a little feedback. But as Nancy said, I'm the Chief Executive Officer at the Independent Living Center of Mobile. We serve 16 counties, covering basically the southern tier of the state, all the way as far north as Wilcox County, all the way over to Butler and Geneva, and all the way over to the Florida and Mississippi state lines. So we basically cover 16 county large swath, 16 county large swath in the southern tier of the state. I also serve on a nonpartisan advocacy organization, Disability Leaders Coalition of Alabama. You've heard from our executive director yesterday, former Representative Bill Fuller, who I promise you is much more entertaining than I am. Yeah. So you've heard from our executive director of the Disability Leaders Coalition, Emma. And as Bill does, he does a wonderful job with explaining, and Nancy, explaining explaining the significance of Homestead and how we translate that in this state through the community-based setting rule that goes into effect this coming week, finally. So in order to implement that as an agency, the Independent Living Center of Mobile has taken on our fixed operations day program and basically taken everything to the greatest extent that we can. All right. Yeah. So back to what we're saying. As Bill and Alan, Nancy have told you throughout your institute time here, there was a case called Olmsted versus LC back in 1999 um, 25 years ago now. It basically said all publicly funded services, including Medicaid services, had to be rendered in the least most integrated setting. So what that means is from 2014 up until now, states have been preparing to make sure that their services are in the least integrated, in a most integrated setting. Many of you were actually helped out the department, or not this group. Many of you actually helped out the department in conducting some of their compliance. So what how we interpreted that, just said at Independent Living Center of Mobile, was basically moving our fixed-based adult day service to a community model that is, as you know, groups no larger than 3, very individualized services that are tailored to the individual strengths, interests, and preferences. So what we do is, with a team approach of our occupational therapist, our physical therapist, our speech therapist, and our community integrated support specialist, who is also a certified recreational therapist, we sit with we take the individual out in the community and basically just expose them to a lot of different environments, see how they act, see how they react, and then develop a plan for them, a customized set of leader activities, and may even be volunteer activities, or may even progress to very limited part-time competitive or supportive employment. So, and we feel that this really embodies the essence of the independent living movement that Judy Heumann, Ed Roberts, and Justin Darden envisioned, because you are allowing your empowering folks to live, work, and play in the communities of their choice. Full participation in all aspects of life as an Alabamian, and life as an American. So, that is what we endeavor to do, whether it's with one of our individuals who's on a DMHTD waiver, or whether it's one of our individuals that does not meet the state's criterion for an intellectual disability, which is an IQ score of 70 or below. At least since I've been, my vision for the Independent Living Center of Mobile is, regardless of the funding source, we are going to provide support to our folks so that they can achieve their maximum level of independence. And a lot of the pushback that we get is, from parents, stakeholders who are, from the old medical model. This is the doctor said, this is what the doctors said, all I can expect out of my loved one, and a lot of what we get is a lot of pushback. Like, my person's never going to be independent. I'm always going to have to be there. But we reframe the discussion. We reframe the discussion of independence from our perspective at the Independent Living Center of Mobile. Independence means the individual exercising choice and control over their life. The complexity of the choice may be as simple as a binary red shirt, blue shirt, or spaghetti versus hamburger versus shrimp. But at least it's a choice. We practice a philosophy that is called systematic instruction. Where you're allowing person freedom of choice, but you also have a duty to educate at a level that is that is consistent with their disability about the choices in front of them. Say for example, you have somebody who has lived in a group home for the majority of their adult life, and you say, would you like to go to program? Would you like to go to program over here during the day? Or would you like to, would you like to go to, let's say, go to the museum or go to the ball game? They're going to say program because that's the only thing they know. So we need to educate them about all the choices that they have in front of them, so we can truly say that they are making an informed choice to the within the construct of their own unique abilities. Does anybody have anything? Anybody have any questions at this time? I really want to make this informal. It's not, this isn't school. Well, it is, but it is, but it's not.
This is Maria. Thank you for coming. I am from Auburn, and so we miss you at Auburn. But I know that you come for games, and sometimes we see you around.
I miss it too.
I do appreciate that you are emphasizing on informed choice, and you have said several times, focusing on their abilities. So thank you. Thank you for doing that, because we need to hear more about that.
It's all about, and I don't know how much Alan said when he was here a month ago, it's all about providing, because one of Alan's things, and I agree with him, it's like I just said, give somebody a choice of going to the program or going to the day program or going to ball game. They're going to say, they may say day program because that's where all their friends are. They need to be educated about the choices that they have. Or God forbid, we say, God forbid, would we say, would you rather go to program or would you rather work a 10-hour-a-week part-time job at McDonald's? They may say program because that's all they may say program because that's all they know. So So that's, it's just about educating our folks about choices in a way that complements their unique cognitive strengths. And so that's our philosophy, and that's really I don't have anybody from ACL in here, do I? No, good. But that's really a departure from the practice of most independent living centers, most certainly through our state, and for a large part of around the country, is independent living centers typically focus on individuals with physical disabilities and people that do not have intellectual processing difficulties or anything like that. They usually focus on your folks with spinal cord injuries, wounded vets, people with cerebral palsy and muscular dystrophy that have very limited cognitive challenges, but so I always like to remind my friends at ACL and in Washington and Health and Human Services, you have a mandate within the law to support folks with the most significant disabilities. And some of those people may not be a privileged communicator like we are, may not, we may have to simplify the choices or put things in less complex terms, but it's really incumbent upon us to take on that duty to do that, make sure we're putting our folks, regardless of what that number says, in a position to make choices for themselves, even at a base level. Are there any more questions? I would like to close with given the major loss that we've had among the disability advocacy community in this past week with the passing of Mother Judy Heumann, which I think she would actually, what I know about Judy, I think she would actually embrace that. Maybe she would, yeah. But I got the privilege to work with Judy when she was a member of the cabinet in the Clinton administration as the Undersecretary for Special Education and Rehabilitation Services. Back then, and still today, to a certain extent, there is an emphasis in trying to get emerging adults with disabilities, those that the law would call of transition age, to be aware of their advocacy and to really be in positions of leadership. So our friends at the National Council on Disability, along with Judy's office at Oshers, put together the first National Youth Leadership Development Conference in '97, in the summer of '97, and really started to take senior high school students and all the way up to, I think they're cut up now is what, 26, to do do something similar like you're doing here, learning about the fabric of the disability rights and the independent living movement. And as an outgrowth of that first conference, the National Council on Disability saw the value in forming a federal advisory committee on youth policies. And for my lawyer that's in the room back there, hello, Nancy. But she will tell you unique ability of the Federal Advisory Committee Act. This is a unique way for private citizens to have input on federal agency policies. So they formed the Federal Advisory Committee on Youth, and we were contemporaneous with reauthorization of WIOA, the first round of No Child Left Behind. And at that conference, at one of our conferences to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the ADA, I had a privilege to introduce a panel that included Justin Dart and Judy and Pat Wright, among other people. So, and the one consensus that they are, one singular message that they all came up with was get involved with politics, get involved with advocacy like your life depends on it, because it does. And they were speaking for themselves. We are tired. We want to go home. We need to cultivate the next generation of seminal leaders, and that is something that has really stuck with me all these years later. Is, as we saw this week, Judy, Justin, Pat, Bob Williams, all those folks have come or will be coming to the end of their journey on this earth. So it is incumbent on us to pick up that mantle and then advocate for change one person at a time, because as I say, the process of leadership empowerment is not a business of immediate gratification. It may take months or even years to see the fruit of your labor, especially when you're dealing with an animal like the elemental legislature, right? So, but the value is every step you take, every letter you write, every conversation you have with an elected official or in think tank, situations like this has the potential to positively impact the journey of one human being with a disability, and their ability to pursue the American dream. And I'll leave you with this challenge. I have a dream today. Do you? Thank you very much.
I know now um, yeah, does anyone have any other questions for Dr.
mean,
Peebles?
Yeah, did.
I have
Yes.
lots, but I won't make you stay and
Well,
listen to
you
them.
know,
all.
Brooke, I drove up here. I saved a couple hours, so you and I can have lunch after.
You know, and I'm in Baldwin County, so we can meander back down south together.
Well, if you're in Baldwin County, why are we first meeting today? You should
I know.
Get your
Well,
tail
I'm
across the
Pippa, so
get your tail across the bay and come over and I'll take you for lunch.
I have a young 13-year-old advocate that I'm excited for you to meet because that's one of my questions and I don't want to keep you guys longer, but how can we as parents that when we have children with disabilities and they are getting to the transition age or they're in the transition age and they are interested in advocacy, what are some of the best ways that we can help them and support them?
Well, Linda in my organization is the title sponsor for Advocacy Day on Wednesday. So and the reason why I say that is when there's advocacy opportunities, rallies, the opportunity to hear a politician was speaking in some form, whatever their public events, bring the young person, bring your aspiring advocate, because I can tell you as a 10, 11, 12-year-old, first time I went out on a farm in the middle of, middle New York, just north of New York City, to get together with a couple, and some advocates, and Justin Dar and his one vote for all, because he was always concerned about the vote. So, and he was the keynote speaker. It basically mesmerized me as a preteen that I'm in a wheelchair. I'm in a wheelchair. This man served in the government with President Reagan and President Bush. And a couple of years later, I saw him on a dais sitting right next to President Bush when he was signing the ADA, and we had 6 or 7 of the same New York advocates that were at that first rally that I went to that were actually on the South Lawn that day. So, when I could see that was a possibility that my friends were actually involved in this, that's how I got the bug. And what I was telling you was when we went to the first National Youth Leadership Conference, I was only the youngest pup in the crowd. I was going into my junior year of high school. Most of these guys that I was in the cohort with were sophomores and juniors at anywhere from Colorado College to Stanford to small Catholic private schools up in Massachusetts, so I was, getting involved early at every opportunity that there is very important. And I don't know if DRS still does it, but I think they do, is there's something for high school seniors called the Governor's Youth Leadership Work. So that's another opportunity in our state. Yes, ma'am.
Jennifer Rucker. I'm the Shelby County Chapter Advisor for People First.
Yay.
And so, thank you. People First has a program, if you are not aware of it, for our emerging youth. It's called Yale Young Emerging Leaders. And we will begin their training in high school.
Right.
Typically it starts around age 16, but if there's someone in high school that's, 14, 15, that's okay too. And it runs to like age 26. There's a great handbook that you can request from People First that has all sorts of leadership information, advocacy information. Latanja is going to start a chapter here in Montgomery as her PIPA project. And so if anyone is interested, we can send the leadership handbook to the respective individual. Oh, Niles has a copy of it. Yay, great. It is exactly what I'm talking about. Thank you.
We have several copies in the office, plus I have the digital copy. So Susan had the digital copy, of course, but a couple, different agencies, couple different agencies are very well plugged in with People First. You can always help spread the information. Is that our copy from the office? Right. Right. So, yeah. Yes. All right. But yeah, I'm because we have several copies around the office ourselves. Anyway, is there any other questions, comments, and concerns from the peanut gallery? For those of you that are in any of our 16 counties, Brooke, please good for you. For any of you that are in our support region, please feel free to reach out to us. We have just started to add some of our skilled therapies back for IDLAH waiver folks. We have OT. We have OT now. We have community integration support services, what will feed into, the various community connections pieces on this TWP, as well as we can also bill it as respite under one of the legacy waivers. So please reach out to us. And I've got some of my cards that I've got, and this is a small enough group that we should have enough for everybody. They're in my little organizer thing right here on the top, right here on the tray. Yeah. I have some of my business cards. So for those of you that would like to get in contact with us further, please do. And either I or one of my very able staff will follow up with you. And how many, just before we close, how many people who are parent advocates actually had their kids, actually had their person on a developmental, on one of the Medicaid waivers through DMH? But through the Developmental Disabilities Division of the DMH, basically the entity basically the entity that's funding this, a part of the entity that's funding this program. So we, those, as you, as your folks approach transition age, that is something that Nancy and I strongly encourage you to do, is get into a position where you're able to apply for one of the adult service waivers, because children's rehab is great, but as soon as they hit their 22nd birthday, they're out the door, and the needs don't go away. Once birthdays are an arbitrary mark. The needs don't go away once they hit their 22nd birthday. So if you have questions about that, call our office, call Nancy's office. They have money in their budget to help families navigate the transition process. So that, and once we get to that point where we've got people that are certified by division on those waivers, we're able to really do customized supports for your individual. All right, so thank you all for your attention. If Linda has any last minute housekeeping issues, go for it.
Yes, thank you, Eric, for joining us. And I know you had a long trip this morning and we appreciate it. Yes, and everything that you said. So, well, you're not done talking yet, are you?
Oh.
I don't know.
I'll stay up here. Fighting to stay up here. That's fine.
Yes. Yeah, our next weekend is graduation. So we're ending it all. That's a great end, what you just shared with us and told us. So advocate out, everyone. We did just pass out some mileage forms.